In the endless galaxy, stories moved faster than light. Traders, wanderers, and explorers carried tales from one world to another. Some stories were about treasures hidden on forgotten planets. Others were about strange creatures that lived between stars. But among all the stories, one stood above the rest: the story of humans. To most, it was nothing more than a myth. The name was spoken only in quiet tones, like a half-remembered dream. Some said humans were travelers who came from a blue world long ago. Others said they were warriors who fought great battles before vanishing into the dark. No proof was ever found. No ships, no colonies, no living humans. Just words passed from one generation to the next. The Council of Worlds, the largest alliance of alien civilizations, had long dismissed the story. To them, it was a distraction. The galaxy was wide, full of real dangers and real rivals. Why waste time on old ghost stories? Yet, the myth of humans never fully disappeared. It lived in the cracks of history, in the lines of forgotten records, and in the warnings carved into ancient data tablets. For some, the myth was a comfort. For others, it was a threat. On a quiet outpost near the edge of known space, a young scout officer named Terran worked long hours scanning the void. His job was simple. He had to listen for signals, record unusual patterns, and report anything strange to his commanders. Most days were boring, filled with static and empty readings. But one day, his screen flickered with a pattern he had never seen before. At first, he thought it was a mistake. The signal was strong, steady, and carried a rhythm that felt alive. He played it back again and again, trying to match it with known codes. Nothing matched. The frequency was ancient, almost forgotten. His hands trembled as he searched through old records. Finally, deep in the archives, he found something. The signal was almost the same as one recorded thousands of years ago. A signal that had been labeled with one word: human. Terran's breath caught in his throat. He knew the stories, of course. Everyone did. But now, he had proof that something was out there. He quickly sent his report to the nearest command hub. Hours later, he received a reply, short, cold, and firm. He was ordered to stay silent. The council would handle it. But the news spread faster than the council expected. Rumors filled marketplaces and starports. Pilots whispered about the signal, calling it the return of the myth makers. Merchants argued whether it was real or just a trick. Some even claimed to have seen strange ships moving in the darkness. Within days, the Council of Worlds was forced to meet. The Great Hall shone with silver light as leaders of many species gathered. Tall, short, scaled, feathered, and smooth-skinned, they sat together in a circle of power. At the center, the High Speaker raised a hand. Silence fell over the hall. "The matter before us," the speaker began, "is a signal detected at the edge of our territory. It carries the markings of a species thought long gone. Records call them humans." The words stirred the chamber. Some leaders laughed openly. Others shook their heads, dismissing the idea. "Humans are nothing but legend," one declared. "We waste our time chasing shadows." Another leader, older and slower in speech, leaned forward. "Legends are born from truth. If the signal is real, then the humans may not be gone. We cannot ignore this." The debate grew heated. Some demanded that fleets be sent to investigate. Others warned that it was dangerous to stir ancient powers. A few simply wanted the matter buried, afraid that panic would spread. Meanwhile, in distant corners of the galaxy, the stories grew wilder. Children asked their elders if the humans would return. Soldiers sharpened their weapons, just in case. Explorers dreamed of finding them and learning their secrets. No one agreed on what humans truly were. Some thought of them as saviors. Others believed they were destroyers. Yet, far beyond the reach of the council, something stirred. In the silent void, massive shapes drifted in the dark, hidden from curious eyes. Their hulls were scarred by battles long past, their weapons cold but ready. These ships carried no flags, no markings, only strength. Their engines waited, silent as sleeping giants. And within those ships, eyes watched. The myth was not dead. Humanity was not gone. They had been waiting, watching, unseen for centuries. Now, their presence had been noticed again. And soon, the galaxy would learn that the legends were true. The Council Hall of Worlds stood like a shining jewel in the center of the galaxy. Its towers stretched high, made of crystal that glowed softly with inner light. From every direction, ships had come carrying leaders of many species. They had all heard the whispers of the human signal. And now, they gathered to decide what must be done. Inside the vast chamber, rows of seats curved around a great circle. Each seat held a leader with their own flag, their own colors, and their own pride. At the center stood the High Speaker, a tall figure with skin like polished stone. His voice carried across the hall without effort. "The matter before us is clear," he said. "A signal has been found. Records mark it as human. We must discuss our response." The chamber filled with noise. Voices clashed against one another like waves in a storm. Some leaders leaned forward, eager and curious. Others crossed their arms, doubtful and mocking. The old stories of humans had returned to life, and with them came both hope and fear. One leader, slim and covered in feathers of gold, raised her voice. "This is nothing more than an echo. A signal from a lost age. Humans are myths. We must not waste fleets and fuel on shadows." A scaled leader with burning eyes struck his hand against the table. "Do not be so quick to dismiss. Legends do not last without reason. If humans have returned, we must prepare. Do you not remember the ruins left on the silent worlds? The broken fleets found adrift with no clear enemy? Who else could have done that but humans?" The room grew tense. Some nodded. Others shook their heads. An elder with skin like silver mist spoke slowly. "I was young when I first heard the stories. They said humans were not many, but they were strong in spirit. They stood against larger powers and fought with courage beyond reason. If they live still, then they may not come as friends. We must be careful." But another voice, smooth and calm, spoke from the far side of the hall. "Perhaps they are not enemies. Perhaps they bring wisdom or trade. Why must we see danger in every shadow? If they are real, should we not try to speak with them instead of fearing them?" The chamber erupted again. Fear and curiosity battled in every corner of the room. Some leaders imagined human allies standing beside them, powerful and loyal. Others imagined human warships burning through their fleets. At last, the High Speaker raised his hand again. Silence fell. His stone-like eyes scanned the chamber. "We cannot ignore the signal," he said firmly. "But we also cannot move blindly. The Council must act with care. I call for a vote." The hall darkened. Small lights appeared before each leader. They had three choices: ignore the signal, send scouts, or send war fleets. Slowly, carefully, each leader made a choice. When the vote was complete, the result glowed above the hall. Most had chosen to send scouts. A smaller number wanted fleets of war. Very few wished to ignore the signal. The speaker nodded. "So it is decided. We will send scout fleets to the edge of our space. They will watch. They will report. They will not provoke. If humans are real, we will know. If they are shadows, the galaxy will return to peace." The council ended, but the hall did not calm. Leaders whispered to their aides as they left. Some eyes burned with fear. Others glittered with excitement. The myth of humans had woken something powerful inside every mind, something that could not be easily silenced. Meanwhile, far away, The scouts prepared. Small ships with fast engines and sharp sensors were sent toward the dark edge where the signal had come. Pilots checked their systems with steady hands, though in their hearts many felt unease. They had been told to watch, not to fight, but they knew old legends. As the scout ship slipped into the void, rumors spread even faster. On market worlds, merchants raised prices, claiming war was coming. On farming planets, families gathered around fires and told the old stories again, passing the legend of humans to the young. On military stations, soldiers trained harder, pretending it was only for routine, though in truth they were preparing for what might come. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was united in one thought. Humans. Were they real? And if they were, what did they want? The scout fleets pressed deeper into the dark. The stars thinned. The silence grew. Their sensors searched for signs of movement. At first, they found nothing. Only black space stretched forever. But then, one ship detected a shadow. Not a star. Not a rock. Something vast, moving slowly, hidden in the emptiness. The pilot leaned forward, his heart racing. He had never seen such a shape before. It was huge, larger than any vessel in the Council fleets. Its edges were sharp, its surface scarred. It did not glow with lights like most ships. It drifted like a ghost in the dark. He whispered one word to himself. Human. And with that, the legend began to take shape. The scout fleets drifted through the dark edges of space. Their engines burned softly, leaving faint trails of light as they moved. The silence around them was heavy, almost alive. Each pilot sat tense at their controls, eyes fixed on the black horizon. The stories of humans whispered in their minds. Some prayed the legends were false. Others hoped to be the first to see the truth. For days, the fleets searched. Their scanners sent out waves of energy, measuring every corner of the void. At first, they found nothing unusual, just cold stars and drifting stones. But then came the first shadow. A ship unlike any other appeared in their sensors. It was huge, much larger than the vessels of the Council. Its shape was sharp and strong, built not for beauty but for war. The hull was dark, almost invisible, and covered in scars that told of ancient battles. The scout crews froze as the readings grew stronger. This cannot be real, one whispered over the COMM. Another replied, voice shaking, it is real. Look at the size. Look at the armor. This is no echo. This is something alive. More shadows followed. One ship became two, then three, then many. They moved with silence, as if the darkness itself carried them forward. The scouts quickly realized these were not abandoned wrecks. They were awake. Engines pulsed faintly. Weapons gleamed in the hidden light. Suddenly, the scouts' sensors failed. Screens flickered. Controls went dark for seconds at a time. It was as if unseen hands reached into their systems and shut them down. Fear spread among the crews. They had never faced technology that could do this. Then, through the silence, a single message came. It was not in the language of the Council. It was older, rougher, but still clear. The voice was steady, deep, and calm. Do not cross further. The words echoed in every cabin. The scouts looked at one another, speechless. The message carried no threats, yet it felt stronger than any warning they had ever heard. It was the voice of someone who knew power and did not need to shout. For long minutes, no one moved. The shadows of the massive ships surrounded them, silent and watchful. The scouts finally sent a report back to the Council. Their words were brief but heavy, the humans are real. Back in the Great Hall of the Council, leaders listened to the report with shock. Images of the giant warships flashed on their screens. Even blurred by distance, the ships looked terrifying. Their size alone was enough to frighten fleets. Their silence spoke louder than any weapon. Many leaders refused to believe. "This is a trick," they cried. "No one could build such ships and remain hidden for so long." But the evidence was clear. The humans had returned. Some voices in the council hall trembled with fear. If they wished to strike, they would already have done so. "We must not provoke them. We must keep distance." Others grew bold. "If they are truly strong, then we must test them. We cannot allow a forgotten people to rise and threaten our order." The High Speaker said nothing for a long while. His eyes studied the still images of the human warships. At last, he spoke with slow weight. "They gave us a warning. We must respect it. To ignore would be unwise. To provoke would be reckless. But to hide from this truth would be worse. Humanity is not a myth. They are here." Across the galaxy, news spread like fire. The myth of humans was now alive in every marketplace, every home, every station. Children asked if the humans would come to save them or to destroy them. Traders argued about whether human technology was greater than all others. Soldiers whispered that if war came, no training could prepare them for such an enemy. The scout fleets, still near the human ships, remained tense. They watched the shadows in the dark, trying not to move too close. Each night cycle, they sent new reports back. Each time, the message was the same: the humans did not attack, but they did not leave either. One scout captain, braver than most, tried to send a signal of peace. His words were simple: "We come only to see. We bring no harm." For hours, there was no reply. Then the same voice came again. "Do not cross further." No anger. No threat. Just the same calm strength. The scouts understood. The humans wanted silence. They wanted space. And they had the power to take it. As the fleets turned slowly back toward council space, the crews felt the weight of history on their shoulders. They had seen the shadows. They had heard the human voice. They knew what many still doubted. The galaxy was no longer alone. The myth had awakened. The Council of Worlds had faced many dangers in its long history: rival empires, star plagues, and great wars. Yet nothing unsettled them like the silent images of the human warships. The shadows in the void haunted every leader. They were not glowing with power or firing weapons, yet their presence was enough to shake the galaxy. In the Great Hall, arguments filled the air again. Leaders of proud races shouted over one another. Some called for fleets to be strengthened, ready for battle. Others demanded peace and silence, fearing any action might awaken a storm. One elder stood slowly. His body was frail, but his voice carried weight. He was from a long-lived species, old enough to remember whispers from centuries past. "Young ones," he said, "you speak as if this is the first time humans have been seen. But I remember the records of my ancestors. They told me of broken wars where no side claimed victory. They told me of fleets that vanished in battles never written in detail. In every story, one name remained human." The chamber fell silent for a moment. The elder's eyes glowed faintly as he continued. "Do not think of them as conquerors alone. Do not think of them as saviors. They are both and neither. They fight when they must, but they do not forget. The scars on their ships are not for show. They are memories of battles older than most of our nations." A younger leader, impatient and sharp, snapped back. "Then why did they vanish? If they were so strong, why hide for centuries? Perhaps they are broken. Perhaps their power is not what it seems." The elder shook his head slowly. "Or perhaps they waited. Patience can be stronger than weapons. They chose silence until now. That is what makes them dangerous." The words sank into the council like cold iron. Fear mixed with anger, respect with doubt. Far from the council chambers, common people across the galaxy spoke in whispers. On small farming worlds, families told their children to stay close to home. On mining stations, workers paused to share stories of humans they had only half believed before. In starports, merchants sold old relics, claiming they came from human ruins. Whether true or false, such items sold quickly, for everyone wanted a piece of the legend. Soldiers were not immune to the fear. Training halls echoed with the sound of weapons clashing as troops pushed themselves harder. But deep down, they knew no training could prepare them for warships of such scale. Officers gave speeches of courage, but whispers in the barracks told another story. If the humans march, who can stop them? Meanwhile, the scout fleets who had seen the shadows returned home. Their crews stepped off their ships with pale faces, eyes still haunted by the sight of the massive warships. They told their families and friends what they had witnessed. They spoke of the calm human voice, the silence of the ships, the scars carved into their hulls. One scout, young and shaken, told his commander, "I have faced pirates, I have faced storms, but never have I felt so small." Those ships did not need to fire. Just their silence was enough. The commander nodded. He too carried the same fear. Back in the council hall, the high speaker gathered the voices once more. His face was grim, his words careful. "We now face a truth. Humanity is not legend. They are real. Their warships are not stories. They are present in the dark. We must decide, do we see them as enemies, or do we see them as something else?" The hall erupted again. One faction shouted for peace, begging to send envoys with open hands. Another faction cried for strength, insisting fleets must be armed to the teeth. A third faction demanded silence, believing humans would leave again if left undisturbed. But the question that no one wanted to ask lingered in every mind: what do the humans want? In the quiet of space, beyond all debate, the human ships remained still. They drifted in the darkness, their engines low, their weapons cold. They gave no signs of attack, no words beyond their warning. Yet their very presence pulled the galaxy into fear and memory. For centuries, the Council had seen itself as the center of the stars. Now they realized there was something older, something stronger, something that had been watching all along. The humans had not fired a single shot, but already the galaxy trembled. And somewhere within the vast fleet of shadows, human eyes watched with patience. The Council finally agreed to act. After weeks of arguments, they chose not to attack but not to stay silent either. A small fleet of carefully chosen ships was sent toward the edge of space, where the humans waited. Their mission was simple: make contact. They were to show respect but also strength, for no one in the Council wanted to appear weak. The fleet moved with caution. Each ship glowed with the banners of its people, their bright colors shining against the dark. Pilots spoke little as they traveled, for their minds were heavy with fear. The stories of the human shadows haunted them. Many wondered if they would return home at all. When they reached the border of the signal, silence fell over the fleet. At first, nothing appeared. Stars burned quietly, and space stretched endless and empty. But then the shadows came. One by one, the human warships slid into view. Their massive forms blocked the starlight. They moved without hurry, like giants rising from sleep. Their dark hulls gleamed faintly, carrying marks of battles older than memory. They did not glow with colors or symbols. They carried no banners. They needed none. The Council fleet slowed. Every eye watched the shadows. Weapons remained cold, for they dared not provoke. Then, a single human ship broke from the group. It moved forward slowly, its engines humming like a deep voice across the void. Inside the Council flagship, nerves grew tight. Officers stood at their stations, ready for any command. The captain, a steady figure with calm eyes, gave the order. "Open a channel." Static filled the air for a moment. Then a voice came through, strong and clear. It was human. This is not your space. You have crossed far enough. Speak your purpose. The words were simple, but they carried power. The council captain stepped forward, his own voice firm though his heart raced. We come in peace. We seek to understand who you are. The galaxy remembers your kind only as myth. We ask if you are truly human. A pause followed. The silence stretched heavy, as if the stars themselves waited. Then the human voice replied. We are human. We have not vanished. We have not been broken. We remained, watching. And now, we step forward. Gasps echoed across the council fleet. The myth had spoken. Humanity was real, alive, and stronger than anyone had imagined. The captain gathered his courage. Why return now, after so long in silence? The human's reply was steady. Because balance is broken. You fight among yourselves, each seeking to rule. You forget the cost of endless war. We remember. We do not return as conquerors, but as watchers. If the galaxy destroys itself, we will not remain silent. The words struck deep. The council crew listened in awe, unsure if they felt relief or fear. The humans did not threaten, yet their warning was sharper than any blade. On the council flagship, messages raced back to the Hall of Leaders. The news spread like fire, the humans had spoken. They were not only shadows in the dark. They carried purpose. They carried memory. But not all saw this as good. Some leaders believed the humans meant to rule. Others thought they lied, hiding greater plans. The council chamber filled with new arguments. Some shouted for alliance, begging to stand beside the humans. Others demanded defenses, afraid that humanity's words were only the beginning of conquest. Back near the border, the council fleet waited. The human ship remained close, watching. Its hull bore scars, long and deep, proof of battles survived. It needed no boast, for the scars spoke louder than words. At last, the human voice came again. Go back to your council. Tell them what you have seen. Tell them humans walk once more. But remember this, do not bring war to our doors. If you do, you will find we are not legends. With that, the human ship pulled back. The other shadows drifted slowly, forming a wall of silent power. The council fleet turned away, their engines bright against the dark. Their mission was complete. They had met the humans. They had heard their voice. And they carried with them a message that would change the galaxy forever. As they traveled home, the crews spoke softly to one another. Some felt pride, believing an alliance was possible. Others felt only fear, certain that the humans would one day march across the stars. Yet all agreed on one thing: the galaxy was no longer the same. The humans had stepped out of myth and into reality. And the stars themselves seemed to wait for what would come next. The council chamber burned with noise. News of the human encounter had arrived, and every leader spoke at once. Some shouted with excitement, others with anger, and many with fear. The image of the massive warship filled the central display, its dark hull marked with scars of old battles. The human warning echoed in every mind: do not bring war to our doors. The high speaker struck his staff against the floor, calling for order. His deep voice rose above the clamor. We must decide how to act. Humanity is real. Their power is not rumor. Do we treat them as allies, or do we treat them as threats? Silence followed for a moment, then the arguments began again. One leader, her feathered wings folding tight, spoke sharply. We should strike first. If we allow them to grow stronger, we will one day kneel before them. The galaxy belongs to the council, not to shadows from the past. Another leader, tall and scaled, hissed in reply. Foolish words. Did you not see their fleet? Did you not feel their silence? To fight them now would mean ruin. Better to offer peace. Better to stand beside them than against them. The chamber split into factions. One group wanted war. Another wanted peace. A third demanded silence, hoping the humans would return to the dark if left alone. The debate raged without end. In the end, the speaker called for a vote. But before the lights could glow, a message arrived from the scout captains who still lingered near the border. It was urgent. The council opened the channel. A nervous captain appeared, his face pale. "Honored leaders, forgive my direct words, but you must understand. We tested them." The chamber froze. "Tested them?" the speaker asked. The captain nodded weakly. "Some among us wished to see if the humans truly had the strength they claimed. A fleet of ours moved closer, ignoring their warning. We thought to measure their response." The room grew heavy. Every leader leaned forward. "What happened?" The captain swallowed. "They did not fire. They did not destroy us. They only moved. But they moved with such precision that we could do nothing. Their ships surrounded ours before we could react. Every system in our fleet shut down, as if they held our engines in their hands. We surrendered without a shot. And then, they released us. They allowed us to return." Whispers filled the chamber like rushing water. The humans had shown their strength without firing a weapon. They had defeated a fleet with silence and control. The speaker's face was grave. "Do you see now? They do not boast. They do not need to. Their power is beyond ours." But even then, not all agreed. Some leaders still cried for defiance, claiming the humans had humiliated the council. Others argued for surrender and alliance. The chamber grew louder, voices clashing like storms. While the council struggled, the galaxy listened. News of the human display spread faster than light. Farmers in distant colonies spoke with pride, hoping the humans would protect them. Merchants argued that human trade could make them rich. Soldiers trained harder, though they admitted no training could match such ships. The common people began to choose sides even before the council did. Some prayed for human friendship. Others prepared for human rule. But no one doubted the truth anymore. Humanity was no longer legend. In the shadows of the human fleet, commanders spoke quietly among themselves. They had revealed only a fraction of their strength. They had shown mercy when they could have destroyed. It was a choice, not weakness. They waited now, patient as always, watching what the galaxy would decide. Back in the council hall, the speaker raised his staff again. "We face a choice. If we resist them, we may fall. If we embrace them, we may survive. If we remain silent, we may vanish into their shadow. The question before us is simple: do we stand with humanity, or do we stand against them?" The vote was delayed once more, for no leader wished to make the final choice. But deep in their hearts, each knew the truth. The humans had not asked for alliance, nor for war. They had only given a warning. The decision now rested in the hands of the galaxy. The chamber dimmed as the leaders left, their minds heavy. Outside, stars burned quietly, unaware of the storm building around them. The humans waited in the dark, patient and watchful. And the galaxy stood at a crossroad, trembling before the choice that would shape its future. The council delayed for many days. They argued, voted, and argued again, but no answer came. The presence of the human warships pressed on every thought like a weight. The leaders could not escape the question: would humanity become enemy or ally? In the meantime, the galaxy held its breath. On distant farms, people looked to the sky at night, wondering if human ships might one day pass overhead. On busy trade routes, merchants whispered that new markets might open if humans joined them. Soldiers in training yards struck their weapons harder, pretending courage, though most admitted quietly that no weapon they held could stop the shadows in the void. At last, the humans made the next move. One of their warships broke away from the Dark Fleet and moved slowly toward Council space. Unlike before, it did not hide its engines. Blue light burned behind it as it crossed the border. Its size was staggering, larger than any ship the Council had ever built. And yet, it came alone. Panic rose in the Council chambers when news arrived. Some demanded fleets be launched. Others begged for calm. The High Speaker finally gave the order, "Do not fire. Open a channel. We must hear their words." The human ship stopped just short of the nearest Council station. Its weapons were silent, but their presence was like thunder. Moments later, the voice of a human commander filled the air. "We warned you not to cross further. You did. We showed you restraint. Now we come with words, not with fire. Listen well." The council hall was silent. Every leader leaned forward as the voice continued. "We are not here to conquer. We are not here to rule. But we will not allow the galaxy to fall into endless war. We remember too well what such wars cost. You call us legend. We call ourselves survivors. And we will not watch the stars burn again." The words struck deep. Some leaders felt relief. Others felt insulted. But none could deny the strength carried in every syllable. The commander's voice grew colder. "You will settle your disputes without destroying entire worlds. You will keep balance, or you will answer to us. We seek no throne, but we will not let chaos reign." A storm of emotions filled the council. Some leaders bowed their heads, accepting the terms with quiet respect. Others clenched their fists, angry at being spoken to as children. Yet, no one dared order an attack. The shadow of the human fleet still hung over them. After the message ended, the human warship turned slowly and returned to the dark. It did not fire a shot. It did not need to. The galaxy reacted swiftly. On farming worlds, families cheered, believing the humans had returned to protect them. On mining stations, workers argued whether this was safety or slavery. On military bases, officers drilled their soldiers harder, not out of hope to win, but to prepare for the day humans might demand more. In the council, the speaker finally gave voice to what many already knew. Humanity has returned. They do not seek our destruction, but they demand our discipline. We can no longer pretend they are myth. We must live with them, beside them, or beneath them, but never against them. For against them, we cannot stand. From that day forward, the galaxy changed. Treaties were signed with greater care, for every leader feared that humans might be watching. Wars grew fewer, for fleets hesitated before clashing, remembering the warning. Even trade grew more honest, as merchants whispered that human eyes could be anywhere. The humans themselves did not conquer. They remained in the shadows, their fleets silent, their presence heavy. They had no need to raise flags or build thrones. Their strength alone was enough to command respect. And so the myth became reality. Humanity, once thought lost, had stepped back into the light of the galaxy. They did not come as rulers, nor as saviors, but as a force the stars could not ignore. Children grew up hearing new stories, not of humans as legends, but of humans as guardians of balance. The elders nodded, remembering the old days when no one believed. Now belief was no longer needed. Proof had come in the shape of vast warships and a voice that carried the weight of history. The galaxy would never be the same again. In the deep dark, the human fleets drifted, silent and patient. Their scars told of battles long past. Their weapons waited, cold but ready. And their eyes watched, ensuring the stars did not fall to ruin again. The humans had returned. And this time, they would not vanish.